Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're embarking on a pretty wild journey, moving all the way from deep emotional obsession toward real self-discovery and closure. We're going to explore something that, honestly, almost everyone has experienced, but very few of us actually understand. Together, we're going to decode the literal architecture of phantom love. Okay, let's just dive right into it. Picture this. Have you ever been lying in bed at 3 a.m., staring up at the ceiling, and suddenly your brain just decides, hey, let's play a high-definition highlight reel of a person who hasn't been in your life for months, or maybe even years? You find yourself replaying old conversations, constantly editing what you said, and wondering, are they out there right now thinking about me too? It brings on this quiet, heavy kind of exhaustion where you feel totally haunted by a connection that just isn't physically there anymore. Section 1, the haunting. Validating the obsession. If that 3 a.m. scenario hits a little too close to home, I want to reassure you right off the bat, you aren't stuck and you definitely aren't weak. What you're feeling is actually a highly specific, super common architectural trap that was built entirely by your own brain. So the crucial takeaway here is that you're navigating what researchers call phantom love. This means your mind isn't actually missing the real, flawed, messy human being. Instead, it's mourning the fantasy potential that you projected onto them. Deep down, you probably know the relationship was wrong for you, right? Yet, you still can't shake the highlight reel. Why? Well, because you're mourning a perfectly curated fantasy rather than actual reality. Section 2, the blueprints of illusion. Naming the demons. Let's look at the blueprints of these elaborate mental monuments we construct for ourselves. The very first floor of our mental architecture here is limerence, and I want to be super clear about this. This isn't actually love. Limerence is this intense emotional state where you become obsessed with the fantasy of someone. In a state of limerence, your brain basically acts as a master architect. Because you don't know absolutely everything about this person, there are natural gaps in your knowledge. And since the brain completely hates a vacuum, it seamlessly fills those unknown gaps with highly idealized, absolutely perfect traits. To picture this, think of it kind of like the Your Name anime effect. If you've ever watched a beautiful romance anime like Your Name, the characters often feel this incredibly deep, cosmic, almost destined connection before they even truly know each other. That is exactly what the limerent state feels like. Your brain is essentially scripting a massive blockbuster romance, using a virtual stranger or a distant ex as the lead actor, totally regardless of the actual facts. Now, notice the stark contrast between the two conflicting concepts battling it out in your mind right now. On one side, we have the fantasy potential. That's the perfect, flawless, idealized version of them that strictly exists only in your imagination. And on the other, we have actual reality, who they actually are as a person, including all the totally valid reasons things didn't work out. When you miss them, you aren't missing the reality. You're longing for the potential that your master architect brain meticulously designed. But you might be wondering, why does the memory feel so much better than the reality actually was? Well, it basically comes down to a glitch in our psychological wiring known as the fading effect bias. This is a phenomenon where your brain intentionally makes the negative emotions associated with a memory fade way faster than the positive ones. It's actually a biological survival mechanism designed to help us heal from trauma and move forward. But in the context of phantom love, this helpful glitch completely backfires on us. I love this phrase because it perfectly captures the absolute absurdity of what our brains do to us. A 5-alarm fire relationship gets rebranded in your mind as a cozy fireplace. Literally. Months later, a totally disastrous, toxic situation that caused you nothing but stress gets mentally edited and color-corrected into something warm, comforting, and deeply missed. It's wild. And the illusion goes even deeper than that. We start to treat our current regret over the end of the relationship like a permanent life sentence, completely forgetting that, at the time, those red flags were less like flags and more like a marching band telling you to get out. It's incredibly common to do this, but recognizing this humorously terrifying glitch is absolutely key to breaking the illusion and getting your life back. Which brings us to Section 3, the false narratives, the trap of internalized stories. This is often the lowest point of the whole journey. It's kind of like the dark basement of our phantom architecture, where the brain builds a toxic foundation of false narratives to try and explain away the pain of someone's absence. Right beneath the glossy fantasy of limerence is this dangerous foundation of internalized stories. When a relationship ends or just feels phantom, our minds naturally seek a reason why, and unfortunately, the brain becomes an expert at desperately correcting evidence against you. A canceled plan suddenly becomes ironclad proof of your unworthiness. Someone ghosting you becomes a direct reflection of your inherent value, rather than simply a reflection of their own poor communication and, quite frankly, cowardice. And ultimately, the brain arrives at the absolute most damaging false story of all. Maybe I'm just unlovable. And this toxic foundation leads us directly back to the 3 a.m. mission for closure. We replay these phantom moments, agonizing over every single word and gesture in the middle of the night, all because our brains desperately need a neat resolution. Your mind is meticulously hunting for a hidden meaning that might finally make this painful story feel complete. But the real secret here? There is no hidden meaning to find. So how do we get out? Section 4, Renovating the Mind. Self-discovery and closure. It is time to shift our narrative upward. We're moving from a place of passive victimhood straight into a place of active empowerment. Dismantling this phantom architecture and reclaiming your precious mental space requires concrete, actionable tools. Building a life beyond phantom love doesn't just happen magically all at once, but it does happen reliably by taking these 3 distinct steps: pattern interrupt, physical memory purge, and grounding techniques. Let's walk through them together. The very first step is a pattern interrupt. When you find your brain slipping right back into that obsessive 3 a.m. replay loop, you have to consciously label it. Literally say out loud to yourself, okay, I'm ruminating again. By naming the pain, you completely take away its power. It immediately feels a little less like a deeply personal failure and a little more like what it actually is, a universal human experience and a simple biological glitch. Step 2 is the physical memory purge. The rule here is classic but absolutely essential. Out of sight, out of mind. Take the photos, the gifts, and yes, even that old t-shirt, put them all in a physical box and tape it shut. I want to stress this heavily. You are not being petty or immature by doing this. You are enacting a strict neurological necessity. Your brain literally needs a physically clear space in order to emotionally heal. Finally, step 3 utilizes grounding techniques. The primary goal here is to physically pull yourself out of the phantom world and anchor yourself firmly back into present reality. Do something highly tactile. Hold a freezing cold ice cube in your hand, pet your cat, or just press your bare feet firmly onto the floorboards. The science is incredibly clear on this. Your brain simply cannot obsessively analyze a phantom past while being fully physically grounded in your body at the exact same time. It just breaks the spell. And that brings us to Section 5, the pioneer of healing, becoming your own architect. This is the ultimate resolution of our journey together today, where we completely shift how you identify yourself moving forward. Through this process, you are actively transforming from the lonely alien, someone who feels defined by their perceived mistakes and trapped by endless replayed moments, into the architect of what comes next. You are the pioneer of your own healing journey now. You are not your awkward moments, and you are definitely not the sum of your past relationships. You are fully empowered to design a present reality that actually serves you, completely free from the ghosts of fantasy potential. I want to leave you with a final, provocative question to consider as we wrap up this explainer. What is one phantom thought you're ready to put in the box today? Think deeply about that as you actively seek your own closure. And please remember, as you navigate this architectural renovation of your mind, you are not alone in the dark. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of self-discovery today. Keep learning, keep building, and until next time, take care.